Welcome back. You're all becoming experts on the Titanic. You've now learned even more about what it was like to be a passenger aboard the Titanic. So, today, we're going to explore what the passengers did for fun throughout the journey. We'll also learn a little bit about some of the food that the passengers enjoyed as they were living on the ship. As we explore, keep in mind that passengers traveled as either members of the first class, the second class, or the third class. The class they belonged to determined the type of experience that they would have as they traveled. As you read, you are welcome to take notes on anything that you found interesting in the text or anything that you might have questions about the Titanic. So, when I began to explore what passengers did for fun aboard the Titanic, I had no idea what types of activities would be available on a ship in the year that the ship set sail. I initially assumed that passengers would simply eat and socialize with one another to pass the time. However, I was amazed when I read about all the options available aboard the Titanic. Again, however, those in the first class had many more activities available than those in the second and third class. So let's begin. The Titanic was beautifully constructed with what was known as the Grand Staircase. This magnificent piece of architecture served as a gathering place when passengers were dressed up and prepared for dinner. The members of the first class had access to a beautifully decorated lounge, whereas those in the third class spent time in what was known as the poop deck, which was at the farthest end of the boat. The members of the three different classes were not allowed to mix, other than the second class members being allowed to tour the first class areas before setting sail. So, what did all these passengers do during their journey? They certainly did not enjoy water parks or rides like we do today on cruise ships. The children who belonged to the first class did things such as use different types of machinery in the gym and do things like ride mechanical horses for fun. They also played games such as shuffleboard, and they were able to go to the concerts in the lounge at night. The children in the second class didn't have the same luxuries as those in the first class. To pass the time, they did simple things such as read in the library or play different board games on deck. Those children in the third class had even less options than those in the second class. They used the poop deck as their game playing area, and they spent time just exploring the third class areas of the ship. The adults also had time to enjoy many different activities during their journey. As expected, those who were members of the first class had many options, such as swimming, relaxing on deck with servants bringing them drinks as they pleased, and spending time exercising in the gym. They seemed to enjoy a lavish lifestyle on the Titanic. Those adults traveling as part of the second class partook in simpler activities, such as reading in the library or playing board games on deck, just like the children of the second class. Those adults in third class did not have many options to pass time aboard the Titanic. They did simple things such as smoke with friends or play instruments on the poop deck. So now that we have learned all about what the passengers did for fun, what was the food like on the Titanic? Those in the first class ate their meals in a dining room separate from those who belonged to the other two classes. However, all passengers had to follow the times that each meal was served if they wanted to eat all three meals each day. There were many workers on the ship who played a role in providing food to the passengers. There were 60 chefs on board. There were also workers whose job it was to act as waiters and waitresses as we know them today. So now that you have learned all about the passengers and their experiences on board, your task will be to write a diary entry. You are going to pretend to be a passenger aboard the Titanic. You have the ability to choose if you want to write this diary entry as a member of the first class, second class, or the third class. This diary entry needs to be at least 7 sentences long, but feel free to write more if you have more to say. You need to begin with a topic sentence that identifies what class you are in for your journey. Again, choose if you want to be part of the first class, second class, or third class. You can then go into details. You can include things such as what you do for fun, the room you are staying in, the things you have seen on the ship, how you are feeling, what you are looking forward to, the food you have eaten, or anything else you want to share about your journey. You also need to end with a closing sentence that wraps up what you have said. I have provided you with a checklist to help you make sure you have included all of these things. Please remember to use complete sentences and correct punctuation, but as always, feel free to reach out if you have any questions.